Welcome back to another episode of Ask the Techies. I'm D.Lee Beard, and today I'm going to answer a couple more viewer questions. First off is a question from a viewer who asks about, she says, I have a VHS DVD combo recorder. Do I still need an analog digital converter? Actually, no you don't. And I'll tell you how you can get around that. If you have a VHS to DVD recorder, then basically you can convert your VHS tapes, your analog, to DVD, which is a digital format, and then you have a digital format on disc. Now, normally for an analog to digital video converter, you want to convert an analog to a digital format to get it into the computer so that you can edit it and do things with it. Well, if you have it on a DVD, how can you edit it and do things with it, get it into the computer? Well, you put the DVD into the computer and you can actually rip that DVD, and I'll show you a neat program that can do that, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Let me open a web browser here. And if you do a search for Handbrake, it's the first thing that pops up, and it's a free program that you can download, and you just click right there for download now, and you can download it. It's available for Mac, Windows, and even Linux. Now, unless you really love the command line, you'll probably want to choose the graphical user interface one. And there's for the Intel and there's for the PowerPC. And then you click on the download. You can download the program. It doesn't cost you anything. It's open source software. That's why it's available for Linux as well. And this can allow you to rip DVDs. So if you've taken your old family photos from VHS tape, burned them onto a DVD, now you can rip that DVD on your computer. And then you can take that and edit it in whatever program you want, whether it's Adobe Premiere or iMovie, something like that. So download that, and that's a way for you to convert it. So no, you don't need the analog to digital video converter, and import all those VHS tapes, and then you can sell that deck on eBay, and then someone else can do the exact same thing, and maybe share the video with them so they'll know that they can do this as well. All right. Next question is from Tony. Tony says, I would love to see a show on how to move my iTunes and iPhoto libraries to an external hard drive. And what are the pros and cons of doing this? That's actually a very good question, because you get a laptop these days and they have about 160 gigabytes of hard drive space. And if it's been around for a while, you only have about 80 gigabytes hard drive space. It's very easy to fill that up with 14.7 megapixel cameras and digital cameras now that can take HD video footage. There's a lot of file content that's coming into your computer that's filling things up. So it might not be a bad idea to move some things off your hard drive, off your main internal hard drive, to an external hard drive, such as your photos. That's going to eat up a lot of space, and maybe you don't need to have those with you very often, only when you're at home. Then that's where you could move those off to an external drive. You could also want to move them, such as your iTunes, since you sync things with an iPod anyway probably, then you could move all your iTunes content off to an external hard drive, and that may not be a bad decision. Okay, what Tony's trying to do here is suggest that. Now, first of all, with iTunes, it's a little more confusing in how to do it. I'm not going to go through the steps here because I really think you may have to go step by step to make sure you don't get anything wrong when you go to do it. And there's two versions, for one's for Mac and one's for Windows. If you go to do a search, a Google search for move iTunes library to external hard drive, that should pull up this list of articles. And if you choose the one here that's from apple.com, iTunes for Mac, moving your iTunes music folder, you click on that. This gives you a nice step-by-step instructions of exactly what you do. Basically, you go into the iTunes preferences and go to advanced, and then you change where it's going to be located, and then you just consolidate your libraries. Okay, and it'll move all the content to that new folder, and that'll be to your external hard drive. All right. So, and also if you use a PC, right down here, Windows PC, click on this article and it shows you the Windows way of doing it. So follow those instructions. That should show you how to move iTunes library. However, for iPhoto, it's really easy. So when you launch iPhoto, you see the photos that you've got in there. I have a couple of standard images in there, and you can see I have a little album over here I created with just the Ask the Techies logo that's in there. So that would be iPhoto. You can store lots of photos. You can tell your camera to automatically go in there, and you can import your images. It's a great little program for Mac only though. And so if I quit out of iPhoto, where that's located, open the hard drive, if you go to your main home directory, and what you'll find is down here there's a music folder. That's where your iTunes library is located, by the way. If ever you want to try to back up some of that, you can just drag that folder over. But under Pictures, you find iPhoto library. That is all of your photos. It's a very large file. Normally, when you have a lot of images, this is 7.7 megabytes because I only have 2 web images on there. But actually, I'll show you a neat little trick actually. Sometimes it looks like an individual file, it doesn't look like a folder, but it actually in a way is a folder. I'll show you a neat trick. Watch what happens. If you right click on it, you get a little menu and you can say Show Package Contents. When you do that, it shows you what's inside iPhoto library. And here's all this stuff. Here's your original photos. They're all located inside there. There's the images. Other stuff such as any little playlists that I've got, albums that I've created. All of this stuff stored right inside of there. They kind of hide it from you so you don't accidentally trash your photos in the wrong way. And so you may not want to go in there and fiddle around, but it can be helpful if you're trying to get access to some content. Anyway, if I was to take this and move it, boop, it's gone. I moved it to the desktop. It's no longer in the Pictures folder, which is where iPhoto looks for it. Well, if I launch iPhoto now, it'll ask me, it'll say, your library was not found. And you can say, quit, create a library. I want to create a brand new one. Or I can say, choose library. So let's say, pretend I moved to the desktop, this iPhoto library. If I actually moved it to an external hard drive, which I could have done very easily. So click Choose Library. And all I got to do is go to the desktop, choose that library and click open. And there we go. There's my playlist. There's that image. I go to photos. There's both those photos. It's as simple as that. With iPhoto library, you just drag that iPhoto library out of your pictures folder to your external hard drive or wherever it is you want to put it. Secondary internal hard drive, if it's a tower, that's a way that you can do that. And that could free up a lot of drive space on your main bootable drive, which may not be where you want to have a lot of huge content because that can be slower to read. And you want to make sure you leave enough space free for your applications and things like that. So that's how you would move it. So the advantages are it's off. The disadvantages, you have to have that external hard drive connected before you launch iTunes or iPhoto, or you will not be able to access your content. In fact, if it was on an external hard drive, I might get that little error message from iPhoto saying it can't find the content, and that's what happens. So you may want to be careful of doing that. You want to make sure that the drive's connected. If you do that, you should be fine. Just realize that you can't have 2 libraries, really. Well, actually, I guess you probably could if you had to. Just every time you launched iPhoto, if you just kept saying, choose a different library, then maybe that would work for you. Okay? Hopefully that answers your question. If not, let me know. And if you all have questions out there, computer is being a little bit of a confuser to you, send us questions at questions@askthetechies.com. Thanks for watching.